You're pregnant. How far?
1 month, 2, no doctor yet. I can't afford it.
Protect yourself and your baby. The health department can help you out. Test for STDs.
I don't have diseases.
You don't know. You don't always have symptoms. STDs make you and your baby sick.
I don't want my baby sick.
No one cares more about your baby than you.
I'm calling my county health department.
A message from the Florida Department of Health, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Tune in for laughs and surprises with The Boca Show. Sundays at 4, only on 1470 WNN. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Gallbladder problems, gingivitis, a bad back, indigestion, fatigue, low libido, not sleeping well, need to lose weight. Just some of the topics you'll hear about. Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Martin. Join me Sunday mornings at 10 on Talk 1470 WNN.
I'm working 2 jobs, and my husband works too. My kids go to school with your kids. I sit next to you at PTA meetings. We live right next door. We've been neighbors for years. You know my family and me pretty well, but here's one thing you don't know. I'm 1 out of every 6 Americans, and my family is struggling with hunger. Like you, we believe in this country. What's hard to believe is in the land of milk and honey, how many hardworking Americans have to choose between paying bills and feeding their families. This is a problem with a solution. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The following message is brought to you by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Most professionals you hire are licensed by the state of Florida, including contractors, veterinarians, auctioneers, and talent agents.
If you hire an individual or a company that's not licensed by the state, you put yourself and your family at risk.
So get the job done right. Always verify the license of the people and companies you hire at the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations website, myfloridalicense.com.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want some gentle encouragement. Then you're on your way to your GED diploma and a better life.
But I know you're probably just a little bit nervous. You can find it in yourself to take that first step.
You can improve your future. You can do this. I know you can.
You need to start pushing yourself.
Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need to get your GED diploma, we've got a pep talk that's right for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and find free GED classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Now you can get Talk 1470 WNN on 95.3 FM too. Loud and clear, Health and Wealth Radio, WNN.
The opinions expressed in the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Shub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Shub, and tonight, like we always do, we're going to talk some golf, we're going to talk some travel, And in just a few moments, we're going to be chatting with our guest for tonight, who is going to be Mary Jo Torello, and she is the executive director for LearnToSkiAndSnowboard.org. And they're celebrating this month, which is Ski Month. January is Ski and Snowboard Month. And they've got all sorts of fun activities and free lessons going on all over the country. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. And, of course, we have the ever-popular segment at the end of the show, which is Dan's Deals on Travel. And I booked a deal myself this in the past day or so. So I'll talk a little bit about that, too, because I not only tell you where to go, but I tell myself where to go sometimes. So I got to practice what I preach, of course, and these deals are great right now. There's just, the world is at everybody's fingertips. There's so many great deals, and hopefully fuel prices will stay down, and the economy will stay okay, and we'll all be able to afford to go travel and do some fun things. But like we like to do, we're going to kick it off with a little bit of golf talk. And first of all, while I like to watch golf on TV, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that because we had a couple of weeks where the holiday season caused all the tours to take a bit of a break, so that was a problem. But they're back. But I had a chance to play unexpectedly this past weekend as well, so that's always good. My buddy James Stammer, who sometimes is on the show, invited me to go play for the second time since its opening, a little golf course that is called Banyan Creek. And Banyan Creek is up in my hometown, which is Palm City up in Martin County, so maybe an hour or so north of where I'm sitting here in Boca Raton. And it is a private course. There's another course. It's in a gated community called Martin Downs. And this golf course had previously been known as the Crane Creek course. There's two 18-hole courses there. The other one is still open and open to the public. But this one had been out of business, basically, closed down, dormant for about 10 years, overgrown. And I guess a new gentleman bought both golf courses and renovated this one and made it a private golf course. And I had the chance to play it maybe 6 months ago when the process was in the early stages, and it looked really good then. It's nice to play a mature golf course that, you know, has the oaks and the moss hanging from it and the pine trees and you know, a mature golf course. But an older golf course is difficult to maintain and requires work, especially when it's been neglected for a long time. So they've done a great job in bringing it back. The holes and the design of the course is beautiful. Just a handful of homes that you can see on a few of the holes, but not many. Many of the holes you don't see any homes at all. And the homes that you see are beautiful homes nonetheless, so it really doesn't hurt the view. The greens were immaculate and perfect condition, as were the fairways and the tee boxes. I had a beautiful red-shouldered hawk land on a tree just over my head, so plenty of wildlife out there as well. And again, not open to the public, but they do have a deal which was new to me. I don't belong to a private club. I never have. I get to play all over the place, so it's a little different for me. But they have a deal whereby if you're a member at a different club, anywhere in within a county or two, you can become a member there for just $5,000 as your secondary membership, I suppose. And I thought that was kind of interesting, but just peaceful and just lovely. Not very few golfers were out there, being that it's a new course. I guess they don't have that many members yet. But if you're interested in checking it out and possibly becoming a member, you can check out their website, BanyanCreekGC.com. And thanks to my friends over there for the invite. I appreciated it. As I had mentioned, this weekend, finally, the PGA Tour is back in action. I've been waiting for this for a while. The Century Tournament of Champions is taking place on the Plantation course at Kapalua in Maui. And what's unique about this event is to gain entry into the event, you had to have won during the previous year an event. So it's that's why it's the Century Tournament of Champions, obviously. You got to be a champion to be able to play. So the field is extremely strong. The players, most of them have had a reasonable amount of time off. And, you know, it's just really great to see. The other cool thing about it is when they play in Hawaii, due to the time difference, it's in prime time here. So that's pretty cool. I've been watching it the past couple of evenings, and I always like to say this when I talk about the tour. For those of you who or listening live tonight, Friday night, 7 to 8. We also replay this show on Sunday nights at 6 on our sister station, WSBR, which is 740 AM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, as well as streaming at WSBRradio.com or on iHeart. You can find the free app. But this event, being that it starts out at about 5 o'clock in the evening our time, even Sunday night, if you heard this and you didn't realize that golf was still on in the evening, you can tune in. And as I had mentioned, it's extremely competitive, and they're out there on the course right now. So as of the second round, we've got in the lead a three-way tie at -7 between Bryson DeChambeau and Kevin Tway and Gary Woodland. And I have to say, I've been watching the event on TV, and we had spoken, I guess maybe it was last week, about the rule changes, and I did see Bryson DeChambeau putt with the flag in, and it's a little weird. There was also an incident where I forgot who it was. One of the players was going to drop a drop from his shoulder height, and the other players screamed out at him, "Don't do it. You got to do it now from knee height." And I heard the announcer say that if he did it from the wrong height, it wouldn't be a penalty. He'd be able to do it again. The rules are a little more friendly. Less time to search for your lost ball, though. But another thing that's a little bit interesting is the PGA Tour is testing doing on-course player interviews during the round. I guess the players have to agree to it, and I guess it's kind of interesting. I mean, a round takes, 3-4 hours for the pros to play, I guess, and a lot goes on. We've seen this kind of in other sports. I'm a little bit uncomfortable when I watch a basketball game, and when the game is in progress and they're interviewing the coach and his team is out there playing. I think that's a little weird. I don't know. I actually saw some of this on the broadcast as well last night, and it seemed okay. Some of the players, who had issues perhaps, I know Brooks Koepka last year playing in Shanghai said that he wasn't into it, but now he says maybe it's okay. Justin Thomas, not so much. Mark Leishman said it was okay. Rory McIlroy, not so happy about it. So we'll see how it plays out. I'll be watching it, so obviously we can talk about it as the year progresses. In other news on the golf course, the Golf Writers Association of America, which I'm proud to say I've been a member of for, I guess, more than 20 years, they named their 2018 Players of the Year. 2 of them are local to us, so that's pretty cool. Brooks Koepka, who grew up in Palm Beach County and still lives in the area. He was voted the Player of the Year on the PGA Tour. Arya Jutanugarn, who I don't believe is local, was the Player of the Year on the LPGA Tour. And Boca resident Bernhard Langer on the Champions Tour was Player of the Year, according to the Golf Writers Association of America. And congratulations. These awards are going to be handed out at the Golf Writers Dinner, which is on Wednesday night prior to the Masters, at the Masters. I get invited every year. I've never gone. One of these days I'm actually going to go. I as much as I'd love to go watch the Masters, if they're not inviting me to play the course, I'm not in a rush. I'm just not. But I will go one day, and I will go to the dinner, and I'll enjoy it. And speaking of the dinner, not the Golf Writers Dinner, but the other important dinner, which is the Winners Dinner, the Masters Dinner, and the host of which is going to be Patrick Reed, who he's been in the news quite a bit, not necessarily for anything wonderful. However, being the champion, he gets to pick the menu, and according to him, it's not necessarily going to be the healthiest menu, but he wants to have choices for everybody. So his menu, what he prefers for himself, is ribeye steak, macaroni and cheese, cream spinach, and cream corn. Hopefully his arteries will not be clogged, and he'll be able to go out and play in the event. But he did say that he plans to serve some grilled chicken, seafood, and some other healthier options for the other players, especially some of the senior players, perhaps, who really have to worry about their arteries, I guess. Not that everybody doesn't have to worry. But obviously this is a tradition that's been going on for years and years and years where the defending champion gets to pick the Masters dinner for all of the champions that show up. So I don't know. I've heard of better menus. Let's just put it that way. All right. I think what we are going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to be back. I've got some travel news that we're going to talk about, and then a little later in the show, we will be talking to our guest, Mary Jo Torello, Executive Director for LearnToSkiAndSnowboard.org. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the Golf and Travel Show.
I'm not smart enough. My resume's not up to date. They'll never pick someone like me. No one's hiring right now. Sound familiar? Don't let you get in the way of landing your next job opportunity. Sometimes it's best to leave it up to the experts. Did you know that the last reported job openings in the U.S. as of this recording was a series high of 6.7 million jobs, and that 1.1 million of those jobs were left unfilled? This means that there's a potential opportunity that's just right for you. And at Labor Finders, we're committed to helping you find it. Whether you're entering the workforce or looking for supplemental income in a job that starts right away, we got you covered. With over 300,000 clients across the U.S. and 20,000 active daily workers, we have the network and the experience to get you your next job. Contact one of our nearly 200 offices today to see how we can help in your job search. Simply visit us online at www.laborfinders.com or connect with us on social media by searching the username Labor Finders.
And we are back. And as I had mentioned earlier in the show, that later in the show, I always provide some information on Dan's deals. And one of the deals that I stumbled on in my research that I do, I actually kind of pulled the trigger on, which is weird because I'm just always searching and searching and searching. And I always looking for that next better deal. And, you know, it's kind of like deciding when to buy a new phone or a new computer or whatever. You know, when do you actually make the move? Because you can wait for tomorrow, and tomorrow, I guess, never comes. But in any event, I've been planning a trip with my wife. Some people don't believe that I ever take her with me, but I do. And to Europe. And for many, many, many years, I've been wanting to go. And, you know, I bought a new house. My car broke down. You know, there's just every year the trip just seems to get postponed. And basically, I just said to my wife, I said, we're going to go to Europe this spring, and, you know, this is where I want to go, and I've been wanting to go for a long time to Amsterdam, especially in the tulip season. So, and she says, okay, well, Amsterdam's okay, but I kind of want to go to Italy. So we kind of decided, well, I'll maybe go to Amsterdam and she'll get to go to maybe Rome. You know, we don't have a lot of time. I mean, I got my day job here. Besides doing this, I do other things too. And I can't be away too long. I've got a dog at home, so we don't have that many days. So I'm searching and searching. And the other thing is my wife does not really like long flights on planes. So I was trying to figure out how I can get us to Amsterdam or Rome and maybe stop someplace on the way that's a little shorter to break up the ride. And I'm searching, and I found it seems that TAP, Portugal Air, has got the best deals right now. And I've spoken in the past about Iceland Air, where you can stay over in Reykjavik for a couple of days at no extra charge. They've got all these programs to encourage tourism to Iceland. And Norwegian Air, I think, does sometimes similar things as well. But on TAP, I found a deal whereby I can stop in Lisbon for as many as several days if I want to, on my way to Amsterdam. And the flight was $182 from Miami, which I've been searching and looking, and anything under $300-400 is pretty good, even one way. I mean, sometimes round trip you can, do $400 or $500, but $182. But of course, this is for your basic economy. So as I always warn everybody, you got to look at the total out the door price and make sure you add it all up. But I did have to pay $40 to reserve a seat because my wife did not want to sit in a middle seat by herself. We're going to use carry-on luggage. I got to look very carefully, though. Some of the European carriers, the size that they allow in the overhead bins is smaller than what they allow here. So if you're not careful and you end up paying at the last minute to check something, it could be $100. So I'm going to have to read all the fine print. The problem is that on the flight back, we were going to then fly from there to Rome and then fly back from Rome. The only good price I found was a relatively new airline called Air Italia, which took over Meridian, which had horrible reviews, just horrible. And this new airline is not quite, up to par yet. So the weird thing is I booked this one-way trip to Lisbon and Amsterdam, and that's all I booked. So I don't know how I'm coming back. At least my wife is with me. If I did this by myself, she'd really have some concerns, I think, if I told her I bought a one-way ticket. In any event, so I've got to hunt some more deals and try and find my way from Amsterdam to Rome, which I did look at some of the discount carriers in Europe, and about $75 to $100, I can get a nonstop flight. Or if I want to, I can make another stop somewhere for that price or a little bit more. And the problem I'm finding is that right now, that airline, TAP, is the one coming back, that other than this one airline that got the bad reviews, and then I'll end up having to stop in Lisbon again. And I'm thinking about it because I'm staying 2 nights in Lisbon. I found a really nice golf resort just outside the city. So I'm thinking maybe I stay at the golf resort for 2 nights on the way over, and then on my way back, I stay in the city for a night or something like that. So we'll see, but it's fun for me to have an opportunity to do myself the things that I recommend for all of you. So speaking of Italy, Venice is very similar to Amsterdam, whereby they seem to be overridden by tourists, especially certain times of the year, and they're trying to come up with different measures to reduce the tourism, kind of like New York City as well. And they're talking about a tax in Venice whereby they can tax like day trippers, people who come into the downtown Venice, their historic center of the city area, and they're going to charge them a fee as much as from 2.5 to 10 euros per person. And they're going to have special exemptions if you're a student or if you're traveling briefly for work or business, or if you're a regional resident. But if you're like me, say, I'm not so happy about that. So chances are I will not be visiting Venice, and I hope that this is not a trend of trying to tax tourists who, come to your city to spend money. So we'll see. Another thing that I want to touch on is the airlines, and it seems that in 2018 there were more fatalities, much more than in the previous year. More than 500 deaths were recorded in 2018, which is a very, very high number. Typically, air travel is very safe. It seems that I guess there was a total of 15 fatal airliner that had accidents compared to only 10 in 2017, and only 44 lives lost. So 44 in 2017, 556 in 2018. The experts say that it's just, a bad year. It's not necessarily a trend, and that airplanes are safe. So let's not worry about it. And speaking about airlines and deaths, sad to report that my favorite airline, their founder, just passed away yesterday. I'm talking about Southwest Airlines. Their founder, Herb Kelleher. This guy was an industry icon. Literally started this tiny little Texas airline, to fly around in Texas pretty much, and, became one of the biggest success stories in the history of air travel. He was 87 years old and, just truly a pioneer and a maverick in the industry. And, so my condolences to his family and certainly a loss for the industry. So Herb Kelleher. Also, here's an interesting story. And I'm going to have some deals for you all on Scott's Cheap Flights, which I always do. And one thing that they pride themselves on occasionally is reporting to folks who sign up for their service, only their paying members, of mistake fares. And mistake fares happen where an airline by mistake will post a fare. Maybe they'll leave off a digit or just do something really wrong, just a little fumble. And the airlines do have the ability to cancel it. And, these websites that provide this kind of information, they always tell you when you book it, be careful before you book other connecting flights and hotels and things. Wait and make sure that it doesn't get canceled on you. But it seems that Cathay Pacific, which is one of the best airlines of all, sold a bunch of first class and business class tickets by mistake. I guess, let's see, they were from Vietnam to New York, and they were supposed to be a $16,000 ticket, I guess, for first class, which, to me is ridiculous to begin with. Obviously, you don't see me flying first class. But instead of $16,000, they sold them for $675. And they decided that they're going to honor it. So, positive PR as opposed to negative PR for them. And this does happen sometimes. So keep your fingers crossed. And besides Scott's Cheap Flights, there are a few other websites out there that I don't subscribe to, but that kind of can alert you to this kind of stuff. They have folks that research it and, will report on it to you. So, also, one of the Middle East airlines that has been causing a stir because, of course, the government, basically owns it. And a lot of the U.S. airlines think that it's unfair trade practices, that some of the, these airlines don't necessarily have to deal with the same stuff that the free market ones do that aren't government owned. And Qatar Airways, which has had additional problems because of their neighbors boycotting them in Saudi Arabia, they kind of have gotten strangled a little bit. And they've always been known to be a top quality airline, as many of the Middle Eastern ones are. And it was just announced that they bought a 5% stake in China Southern Airlines, which they've got some pretty good deals, China Southern. So they're branching out to try and not be so locked in their Middle East struggles that they've been dealing with. So we'll keep an eye on Qatar Airways for you all. A local company who's headquartered right here in Miami, Carnival Cruise Lines. And I don't know if any of you like to cruise on Carnival, but it seems that room service has been free on the cruise lines. It's not going to last, unfortunately. Just like hotels, just like airlines, cruise lines are no different. And they find that these extra fees that they can charge that perhaps they hadn't charged before results in a huge amount of additional revenue. So Carnival will now be charging a la carte fees on room service menu items that are ordered from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And my guess is that once things like this start, there's no end to it. I don't know about you. I don't typically order room service. I know that when you do, you end up sometimes spending 2, 3, 4 times what something might cost if you would just get out of bed and walk downstairs and get it yourself rather than having it delivered. But on cruise lines, this has been one of the kind of neat perks. All-inclusives have deals like that sometimes, too, where room service is free. And my guess is that might be the next thing that's going to go, and you're going to get, nickel and dimed a little bit on that as well. So, it's the way it is. And again, just buyer beware. When you sign up for these programs, things that sound really cheap might be, but you really have to look carefully at all of the hidden costs and hidden fees to make sure that you have a full understanding of what it is that you're getting before you end up out at sea and hungry in the